Hello, welcome to Mitch's Rant Time, the show where I talk and you listen. Been a long time since I've done a video. I recently moved and just been kind of trying to play catch up with a lot of different things. I'm actually doing pretty well when it comes to my state of being, but I've been kind of dying to rant. I enjoy this sort of video diary little system I have, and I want to get back into it. I've also been working on recording some gaming content and probably going to make a gaming channel for that. And it's going to be fun. But I decided there's been a lot of things that have been going on. I've been trying to make videos on, but never really felt happy with them. And I've been trying to work towards getting better stuff to make really good videos. Hopefully things will be changing and I'll be able to get better stuff. But something really brought me on. I'm thinking about some issues, guns, police brutality have been some things. But I was recently watching someone I'm subscribed to, and I'm subscribed to multiple people. I'm subscribed to multiple different channels, progressive channels, liberal channels, conservative channels, religious fundamentalist channels, atheist channels, feminist channels, misogynist channels. I'm subscribed to multiple things because I like to hear different content, even if it's like dragging my face against a cheese grater. I want to hear what different sides have to say and hear their arguments and just decide for myself whether or not they're compelling or just stupid. But I was watching one channel that I'm subscribed to that I don't necessarily agree with. I consider the person somewhat of a misogynist and very much sexist. And this is coming from someone who really loves to argue against feminists. But, this person was talking about debunking egalitarianism. This is a character. This is from the channel TurdFlingingMonkey, and I've had discussions with this the at least some admin of this channel, and they were talking about egalitarianism and how it's wrong. And the arguments that were being brought forth were that egalitarianism tries to create sort of a false equivalency, puts things to be equal when it's not fair. And I think he's kind of missing, this channel is missing the point that of what true egalitarianism really is and what it means. And he was touching on it a little bit with the point of a socioeconomic or, kind of de jure equality. Not necessarily mandated equality, but an equality under the law, or an equality under certain political or social institutions. And then he kind of got off on that, and then tried to make a case for things like a patriarchal society, not a natural patriarchy, like say one where statistically, well, legally and in theory, everyone can, a man or a woman could do any job. Either way, there's no gender identity to a job, but statistically, men do this job and women do that job. That's a natural patriarchy or natural gender kind of dimorphism. He was actually talking about a mandated one where men are given more or given certain things because of this natural statistical phenomenon, and that's not really right. In a way, it's a form of entitlement, and it's kind of, as I always think with meninists, this is what I would really consider TurdFlingingMonkey as meninist. It's the reverse of feminism, or at least the hardcore feminism. That's not even really feminism. It's lost its egalitarian root, and it's become more of a misandry. But it's the belief that you're owed more because of a certain reason, because of your gender, or because your gender does this or has to deal with that, when they don't understand that there are problems that both genders have to deal with because of societal things, cultural things, things that we have to work on, certain legal aspects that really don't make any sense. I don't want to put my jacket on. It's a little bit nipply in here. Very unprofessional. It's a little early in the morning too, so that's why. But that's where I think the point's really missed. It shouldn't be about who, because it shouldn't be about those statistical things. It should be statistically, it should be, like I said, it should be natural. It should be statistically natural. If more men work more harder jobs that would typically pay more, then men should be paid more. If men do jobs that are, say, 50% more work or 50% more valued by society or an economic system, then they would be paid 50% more. And if you look at our statistics and the differences between average wage of women and what jobs are worked by women and what jobs are worked by men, and that, you would see that that actually does occur. Feminists think it should be flat, that men and women should be paid the same, no matter what they're doing, completely bypassing any sort of economic natural occurrence. I'm not getting so much into laissez-faire, complete anarchy, but I'm talking about any natural capitalist occurrences where the supply and demand, supply for certain things or demand for certain things affects cost and supply. If there's a high demand for something, we may pay more for it, but if it's in high supply, we may pay less for it and a little bit less for it. And it depends on all sorts of different things. And if you have a high supply and a high demand, you kind of meet a sweet medium where you can charge a little bit less than you need to, but you still make a plethora because, you may only be charging a penny over, but you're getting 1 billion customers a day, so you're making $1 million a day, which, it's all hard economics, and my leather jacket is squeaking. I'll take it off. I'll suffer the cold. I can't stand leather squeaking. Anyway, leather squeaking, porn mustache shit. That's where we sort of missed that. And it's just explaining that sort of concept as natural occurrences. This isn't that big on natural occurrences, things that occur naturally, not by so much human nature, but just by somewhat human nature. But it's sort of principled constants of different systems. This is sort of how I feel when it comes to things like evolution or other things in nature. This is where I have a problem with agreeing with sort of forced morality or forced belief in mysticism that doesn't really have anything like luck or religious favor or blessing. I don't necessarily think that works. And I think it's the same thing as forced morality. Forced morality doesn't really work because it goes against the grain of these principled, constant systems. And egalitarianism does definitely go under that. Egalitarianism, now, while it is in a sense a forced morality by the basis of you are setting up a legal system is based on a very simplistic concept called it's the veil of ignorance, where you don't take into account the possible descriptions or demographic identities that could create biases in a situation. If I just say person A is accused of assaulting person B, but person B, person A maybe says that they're innocent, already you may have some biases saying, well, person A is accused, you're going to have some biases towards the accused. But you hear that person B is maybe, person A is a black male and person B is a white woman, your biases might start to fall into place. You might start to think, well, maybe the woman's lying. Maybe she's racist towards a black person. Or you might think, well, it's a black guy and it's a white woman. Of course, your biases are going to start to tweak the situation. You're no longer going to have a clear veil of ignorance. You're no longer going to be able to think objectively. And that's where egalitarianism is supposed to fit in. It's not supposed to be about mandating some false sense of equality. Not things like say wage equality. It isn't egalitarian to mandate that everybody make the same amount of money or get paid the same amount. That's actually communism. And communism is in no way egalitarian, as it requires certain advantages and handicaps to make it so, based on things like majority or political power or, wealth. Those who make $1 million a year are going to be taxed at a higher percentage than those who make 100 a year to make up for it. Someone who makes 100 a year compared to someone who makes $1 million. Someone who makes $1 million a year is going to be taxed where they make the same as someone who makes 100 a year. And that's how they're going to fund the government. And then the government is going to take that, like 90% that they're getting from, over 90%, like 99% they're getting from the $1 million a year to be able to fund the $1 million a year and the 100 a year's basic needs. Their money is going to be their own play money, but even then, their play money is going to, it's a broken system. Sorry to keep using economics as a way to explain it, but that's where the majority of it comes from. And he does bring this up in an economic way, discussing patriarchies. And I don't agree with that. I understand. Sorry to keep yawning. I understand if the patriarchy occurs naturally. If, and of course it's coming from a white male, but if naturally the society starts to lean towards favoring men more in certain jobs, because typically, statistically, by natural occurrence, by no, mandated government or public sector laws or regulations, but that men typically go in this certain route, thus are given the certain pay, not because they're men, but because of the job, based on the need from society. Well, that is a natural patriarchy. If it seems more often that men are the breadwinners and women stay home, if the majority of your couples are heterosexual, then you have a natural patriarchy. And that's fine. It's naturally occurring. And it still fits in the realm of an egalitarian justice system, which is where being egalitarian matters most. The justice system. At work, it's needed for an economic system to a certain point, when you have things like protections against being discriminated, being fired for being black or male or female or white or Hispanic, or from, being an immigrant or being gay or straight or Christian or Muslim or atheist or whatever. That's where egalitarian is supposed to protect you. And that's still technically a legal area, because you can be sued, you can go to court, it is still legal. Something that, while it is brought upon by the legislative branch and enforced by the executive branch, it is still handled in court by the judicial branch. So it's still a legal issue, no matter what, because it involves all three. So that's where the problem comes. You need to understand that it not only is a philosophical concept, but it is a political concept, that the majority of people, whether you're far right conservative or far left progressive, or anything in between, libertarian, authoritarian, whatever, even authoritarians understand there's a certain level of egalitarianism that needs to be established. Now, hardcore authoritarians, like fascists or communists, or totalitarians, may disregard egalitarianism because it doesn't fit the thing. Religious fundamentalists, not in favor of egalitarianism. Mennonists, not in favor of egalitarianism. Feminists, like hardcore Tumblr feminist types like Anita Sarkeesian, not in favor of egalitarianism, because they believe they are themselves, as a group, the group they are a part of, entitled
to something more or a special privilege, and that their quote-unquote inverse, their reverse, their opposite of the spectrum is entitled to less treatment or punishment or required to apologize for something that should not be apologized for. You should ever never need to apologize for your gender or your race or your national origin or your income or your education or your political views or anything like that, or your religion or lack of religion. You should never have to apologize for anything that is demographic and that should not be subject to actual. It isn't really a crime. It is not a natural crime. You should never have to apologize for it. You weren't assaulting anyone. You weren't stealing from anyone. You weren't being dishonest about anything. You were genuinely being yourself. There's no reason to be upset about that. I mean, sure, we can go into the whole thing about mental disorders and that's another thing for another time. But if you are genuinely being yourself, not breaking any of those three natural laws of assault, theft, or dishonesty, then you are fine. Dishonesty also being fraud. You're fine. You're not doing anything wrong. And there. And being egalitarian is supposed to be a kind of a blanket, not only a blanket morality, but a way of sustaining equality. And let me provide you to this too. Most Western secular societies are egalitarian. Most Eastern or more old world based, religiously fundamental, or totalitarian, authoritarian societies are not. They're anti-egalitarian. They believe that a certain race, religion, gender, sexuality, national origin, ethnicity, economic style, political view, that those are correct. Nazis, Soviet communists, the North Korean government, like Kim Jong, the rulers at least, like Kim Jong Un or Kim Jong Il, religious fundamentalist terrorists like Osama bin Laden, or even pseudo-secular dictators of religious nations like Saddam Hussein. They are all against egalitarianism. And you have to realize this. Now, I'm not trying to put, strawman you or guilt you by association, but you have to realize that that is the legal sense of egalitarianism, not this strawman false equivalency you've given to it, this fake definition of egalitarianism. Now, I'm not saying that the definitions you provided were wrong, but I'm saying this understanding you have and a way of trying to push it out there. Because you said yourself, it's about social, political equality. De jure, under the law. If you can't understand that, if you can't comprehend the fact that de jure, under the law, being seen as equal is simply removing biases towards certain things to make it fair legally, you need to rethink whether you're some sort of anarchist libertarian or a fucking authoritarian. You need to rethink where you stand in that spectrum. From a libertarian himself, you need to realize that freedom isn't specific to certain groups. Everyone has freedom. Everyone should defend it. It's not something that you can just say, well, this group deserves more. Why? Because of this. That's great. Statistically, there are more whites than Americans. More whites in America. By that logic, there are going to be more whites working. Does that mean more whites are entitled to more benefits? No, that's a flawed system. Because the logic you base it off of is off who's doing more. And the one day when the tables turn, and it's no longer whites or Christians or males making money, being the majority, are you going to stand for the majority still being given all the power when you're the minority. No. That's where egalitarianism steps in. It protects your political, social power, your de jure rights. That's what egalitarianism is. Now, I know you're going to, if you want to watch this video, I'll try to do it. I'll even try to invoke a conversation between you and I. This would be fun, my first time. I'm interested to see what you think of me. I haven't done one about guns yet, so you would be in for a surprise with that. But I'll post a link to this in your comment section, and we'll see if you delete it or if you actually watch it. Make fun of me for yawning or my shitty setup, but I think it'd be interesting to talk about because I definitely feel that you could use a lesson in the philosophical understandings of egalitarianism and maybe some other things too. But anyway, if you've made it this far, TurdFlingingMonkey, I give you a thumbs up for being a true sport. Now, I do enjoy watching some of your videos. We have had some interesting conversations. But hopefully you enjoyed this. Anybody else, please leave a like. Please comment. Tell me I'm wrong. Scream at me. Say whatever. I love to see comments. I accidentally deleted my first one. I try to apologize and I will continue to apologize. Try to be better at responding. The person who left the first one, I really am thankful for it. I'm grateful. I will always remember. It was very polite, and even though it was just affirming what I said, it meant a lot to get a comment. My first comment means a lot to me. So, to that person, thank you. I'm sorry I don't remember your name, but to you, you know who you are. It was on, I think, the one about the budget, I think. But thank you. And anyway, as always, subscribe to see more. I'll either be making a new channel or be dumping all of my video game stuff on here. Well, hopefully some other stuff. Hopefully I'll get back in the swing of things. I've been working on a lot of school and other shit, of course, planning things in life. But yeah, thank you for listening. You guys have a good night and stay well.